Hello, Richie Porte. We are here in Düsseldorf before the grand départ of the Tour de France 2017. How are you feeling? First question.
I feel a bit tired, to be honest. Quite an early start, and it wasn't such a long flight from Nice to here, but I'll sleep well tonight, I think.
You have been one of the most impressive GC contender in this season with the most impressive result. That makes you feel more confident before the tour, or maybe more stressful?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not the big favourite here, but the season's gone really well so far. I think success, winning races kind of makes you a little bit more confident, and I'm happy with where I'm at. We've got a great team here, and I think the goal is just to try and enjoy it as much as possible.
Perfect. We have seen this year stage races more open than useful that we used to see, especially in the World Tour. Do you think it will be the same in this tour, maybe?
I think so. It's a totally different parcours this year than in past years. I think all the favourites are here. Of course, they're going to be stronger than what they have been in the past races, but I think it's this year for sure. It's a much more open race.
What are your favourites, except yourself, of course?
I think obviously, Chris Froome is he's won 3 Tour de France's, Alberto Contador, Nairo Quintana. It's the usual suspects, to be honest, and someone like Jakob Fuglsang or Dan Martin, I think, are the big outside favourites.
A special question for you, because here in Europe we don't really know the place of cycling down under. So what is exactly the place of this sport, and what is your place in Australia?
I think definitely cycling's getting much bigger. I think January Tour Down Under, you see the crowds there on the side of the road, and it's, to be honest, as big as Europe. In January, I think January in Australia is the holiday time that people really embrace cycling. It's getting a much bigger presence in Australia, but I think based on the fan support that you get on social media and when you are back in Australia, I think for sure my profile is only getting bigger, and I think that's more because cycling's getting a much bigger following.
And we're talking about the place of cycling in Australia, but we know that other sports are really important, as swimming, for example. We know as well that you used to do it in your preparation. Always important for you to swim.
I think as an Aussie growing up, it's quite important that you know how to swim, because we do, we're surrounded by water everywhere you go. So for me, my father was a pool manager, so I was kind of, from the day I was born, I was at the swimming pool, and I just think that it's got such a, with the weather that we have, of course, you're going to be around the pool, so for pool safety, of course at school we learned how to swim, and I'm happy that I enjoyed it, and that's the first sport that I actually did was swim training.
I'm taking advantage of this answer to talk with your fan. You can ask your question directly to Richie Porte. I will bring it, and I will ask your question. So another question from me before, because you were talking about swimming. So where do you think swimming help you more? Maybe into the mountain, or?
To be honest, I think it's for me, I like to do as much swimming as I can in the off season. It's more of a mental thing, that it's just nice to do a sport that works the cardiovascular system, and you can use different muscles. I think it's nice just to mentally not have to ride your bike to keep fit, but I also feel that it helps so much with just CrossFit, and I think if you're swimming fit, then it also helps your cycling for sure.
A lot of ex-cyclists becomes Ironman after their careers. It will be easier for you for sure.
I think so, but I think my wife would kill me that if I did probably a more time-consuming sport than what cycling is after I retire. So I think we'll leave that to the other guys.
We have Farah saying good luck for this Tour de France. And the last question about swimming. Finally, do you have any tips to give to your fans that would like to add swimming in their training?
I think persevere, because if you come from a cycling background, swimming's a little bit different. But I think, you know, obviously the more time that you spend doing it, the better that you're going to get. So I think that's key to, you know, swimming and using swimming as a cross-training activity.
Okay, I will ask you more question about the race. The tour is starting in a few days. It will be a pretty open one, as we just said. What are the key stages for you this year?
I think every stage is a key stage, to be honest, but obviously it opens with people call it a prologue, but it's a bit longer than a normal prologue. So to be honest, it'd be nice to try and take a bit of time on the climbers. But I'd say stage 5 to Planche de Belleville, that's such a hard finish. So I think that'll be the first real GC shake-up. And then stage 9, you know, we do 3 big climbs there, and then we do the crazy descent down the Col du Chat. So and finish in Chambéry, so I think that also is quite decisive. Then, you know, the Pyrenees stages are really hard. We finished to Périgord especially, but then in the Alps, you know, the Alps are high altitude as well, so that's also going to be key.
Andres is asking, what do you think about Nairo Quintana and Chris Froome at the moment?
Look, I think Nairo's done a Giro, and it was a hard Giro, so it'd be interesting to see how he backs up from that. But Chris Froome, you know, he hasn't been as dominant, or Sky as well, haven't been as dominant this season, but I still think Chris Froome's the big favourite here. He's won the race 3 times, so he can probably win it 4 times. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see how he is when the race starts, but I expect him to be, you know, on top form.
I have a question about the first stage here in Düsseldorf, in Germany. It's a short time trial. Do you think it can suit you, or maybe it's shorter?
Maybe it's a little bit too short for me, but I think certainly I'd like it to suit me more than it does some of the other GC guys. You know, it's a nice way to start. It's a beautiful city, so I'm looking forward to it. But I have not yet seen the course, so I'll go and see it tomorrow, and probably be able to tell you this time tomorrow what I think more.
We have Jonathan asking if this tour will be your biggest challenge ever.
Oh, I mean, I'm not sure about that. Like, I mean, of course, I'm super motivated for the tour this year, which I am every year, but I think this year, you know, I just need a bit less bad luck than what I've had in the last couple of years, and you know, and it's a big opportunity for me, so I'm going to make the most of it.
We have Juliette asking for the atmosphere here in Düsseldorf. Maybe you just arrived, you don't really know about it, but in general, in the Tour de France, how is the atmosphere with the fans?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, certainly you can tell that it's bigger than any other race. There's people everywhere. Every meter on the road, basically, there's people there watching, and you know, just the fans. They come from, you know, New Zealand, Australia, America, and UK, and South Africa. I mean, they come from all over the world. So I think that's probably where this race is bigger than the other races. Is that just, you know, the global audience is massive.
Do you meet a lot of Aussies along the route?
Yeah, you do, which is kind of nice that you know that the Aussies are always going to support you. So I guess for being from Australia, it's just nice to have your fellow compatriots here to cheer you on.
We have Wendy asking for are the BMC boys up to helping you in the mountains?
Look, I hope so. I think, you know, we've chosen the strongest team that we could, and I think, you know, the tour's a different race than the other races we do. There's always other guys with interest to ride for the stage, so I have full faith in my team. You know, Damiano Caruso's here off a fantastic second place in Tour de Suisse, and Nicolas Roche is going to step it up to another level, and Amael Moinard and Alessandro De Marchi. So I think we've got the horsepower that we need in the mountains.
We have seen Sylvain Dillier really strong as well. He just won the Route du Sud and the national championship. It's not a pity to not see him here. We know that he did as well the Giro of Italy, but he is really strong at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. He's been very impressive. But then it's like you look at all the other guys also who have won national titles in our team just recently, and I guess it's the Tour. There's always a lot of hard luck stories in it, but the thing was with our team is that we identified in December the guys who were going to be in the Tour squad, and thankfully that's how it's stayed. We had 11 guys, and those guys weren't quite there in that squad. So the team we've got is the guys that have been prepared since December.
We are getting more personal question, but you will see something easy. What is your favorite power-up food?
Oh, probably avocado. I absolutely love avocado.
Another personal question is: are you bringing something special when you are going in a Grand Tour like here?
Yeah, I bring my pillow from home.
Yeah, always the same, or
always the same.
And did you give the pillow a name?
No.
No. It could be.
Should do.
Do you have always the same roommate?
Normally I room by myself, to be honest. It's not that I don't like having a roommate. I just, it's just nice to be able to come back to the room and talk to my wife or watch a movie and just relax, and you can go to bed whatever time you fancy.
Yeah. A question about something pretty new. We just saw the new about the Grand Tour for next year. You will be not 9 riders but only 8 riders into the team. So it's something that's changed really, or something important for you?
I think obviously it's from a safety point of view, yes, it's a good move because less riders in the race. It's going to be safer for sure. And I think now the way that roads are built, there's much more traffic furniture, and we really see that. But I think definitely next year with 8 rider squads, it's going to be harder for one team to control the race. But there's always going to be a stronger team than another. But I think it's a good move.
We have Matt asking if you are afraid about a bad day.
Well, okay, everybody's scared of having a bad day, aren't they? But I always hear that with me, that I have a bad day, but I think there's always a reason behind it. But of course, you want to kind of minimize your bad day. I think the training I've done and my nutrition and everything, it's always, you're always going to try and minimize those bad days.
Jules is doubtful. He is asking, can you really beat Froome?
Well, I mean, I've done it so far this season, but the Tours are, it's obviously the race that he's won before. He's the big favourite, so it's. I mean, why? If I didn't think I could beat him, then I just guess I wouldn't turn up.
What do you eat usually during a 3-week race?
I like to eat a lot of rice. Our soigneurs make us a lot of rice bars, so I kind of like to keep it simple, and I prefer to have normal food than some of the race food. I just think it sits better with me.
And do you have a team cook for this race?
We do. We have Massimo, the Italian chef. So it's I think that's one thing Italians do fantastically well is cook. So you are really asking a rice to an Italian chef. Yeah, I mean that's on the bike, but off the bike, obviously, with Massimo, it's pasta is pretty good.
We have a question. Ian is asking, You said after the final stage of the Dauphiné that if the change to get back at those who ganged up on you on that stage, you would not hold back. Yeah, it's too long question. Do you think that in insights? Oh, there is not the end of the question. Sorry, so I will take the next one. What will be the other stage this year?
Oh, I think there's so many hard stages, but for me, probably the stage in the Pyrenees with the finish up to Périgord, because it's a lot of climbing, and the final it's torturous, to be honest. It's so steep, so maybe that one, or even the finish on the Col d'Izoire, because that's altitude as well, and you just never know how you're going to cope with altitude.
And Greg is asking if you will use 25 or 28 in those stages, or maybe another development.
Probably 28. Normally that's what you have on, but I think the 28, the Shimano cassette, 2811, it basically covers everything, to be honest.
Do you change it for the mountain stages?
Just depends. Maybe not so much in the Tour, but if you're doing the Giro or the Vuelta, and some of the climbs like the garden paths that they send you up, I think you need to change it, have more of a compact gear. But I think normally in the Tour we just keep a standard 2811.
Do we have special bikes from BMC for the Tour de France?
This year we have the new team machine, which was just released in time for the Dauphiné, so that's the special bike, and I think also our new time trial bike, which it's basically won every time trial it started, so I think that's about as special as it gets.
Benjamin is asking, who is your biggest opponent for this tour?
I'd say it's the guy who won the last two tours, Chris Froome, 100%.
Obvious. We will take a couple of questions and we will end it. Antonio is asking a nice question. What size of tires are you using? 25 maybe?
Always 25. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty new as well into the peloton.
It is, yeah.
We have Diogo asking, who do you think is the best sprinter on the peloton?
Well, I mean, if you look at results-wise, it's Mark Cavendish. But for me, the sprinter that I'd like to have seen is not here. It's Caleb Ewan. I'd have loved to have seen him. I think it's a mistake that he's not here. But probably, say on form, maybe Marcel Kittel is probably the king of the sprint.
We have a couple of interesting questions to end it. We have Nev Kelly asking, how hard is the mental side of the tour?
It's the biggest part, to be honest, is the mental side. The games start. You have people saying, who's the favourite in the media. That's where it kind of starts. But then also, when you get to the third week, it's such a mental battle. You're fighting fatigue, and the stress of this race is just unrivaled. So, yeah.
In that way, it's better to be yellow jersey or maybe the first opponent?
I think it's maybe easier not to have the yellow jersey. With the yellow jersey comes a lot of responsibility. I mean, I've ridden in teams where we've had the yellow jersey in the final week, and it seems like the whole peloton's going to gang up on you, which they do.
And last question from Stefan. It will be warm probably in this tour like usually, and what do you use for hydration?
The Tour, obviously being in summer, is probably one of the hotter races that we do, but hydration, it's use the team has electrolyte drinks from Power Bar, and use those, and just good old water also.
Thank you very much, Richie. Maybe you will go to swim a bit before have dinner, no?
It's really hot, yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much, and good luck for this tour.
Thank you.
See you on Eurosport, of course.